I'm Jason from Smoking and Drinking in Space, a sci-fi podcast from a couple guys who think they know sci-fi.
And I'm Rob from Smoking and Drinking in Capes, a superhero podcast from a couple guys who wish they had powers.
And we're part of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the show you're checking out now.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
And you can find other cool, awesome, geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Here we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the official GonnaGeek Show. I am Steven, and I am pleased to say Chris Farrell is here.
And tell you that Steven has a filthy bleeping mouth.
You know what I also have? Filthy producer hats, because I have just realized that the sidebar isn't accurate.
What are you talking about? We're back in time.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about hats, and I thought you were going to finally reveal that you wear a toupee.
You know what, though? SP is also here because I'm leaving all of this in. How's it going, SP?
I am doing fantastic. It's almost Monday, just a few days away, and then we can start this wonderful work week thing all over again.
Chris, did I actually introduce you? I've lost track here.
No,
I don't
you
know what
did.
I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah, but we're talking about wonderful Mondays, and I think a part of my soul just left my body.
I mean,
Yeah.
Chris, if you don't like what you do, find something that you do like to do, and then Mondays will be awesome.
I tried to make a case to get paid to do that, but then I was told that I needed to go to that OF site, and nobody paid.
He's dead, the guy that owns it, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
owner or founder?
I guess he's, founder for sure. I thought he still owned it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, well, I mean, if
I
I had an
didn't
account
explore it
there,
too
I'd be
deeply.
worried. I would be worried if I had an account on there.
I
So
mean, it's only where I
Steven,
sell my feet pics.
When did that happen?
last week.
This last week.
Oh. Well, nobody told me about that. What about all my subscriptions? I mean, what?
I honestly have been following it, so I don't know what's going on with people that are on there or their subscriptions or the business model or anything. But I will say, and we've said this before, Stephen, on Better Podcasting many, many, many times, do not build your platform on somebody else's platform.
I mean, and another thing to consider, it's not just porn. It's mostly porn, I assume, that OnlyFans is used for. But we even talked about on this show, there was an actress who's in the Harry Potter movies who played Lavender Brown, who has a hairstyling OnlyFans, which is rated G stuff, but wasn't invited to cons because she had an OnlyFans. People just went that far and went, nope, not going to do this. But it was a perfectly reasonable site to have, similar to what someone could do on a Patreon, just for sharing hairstyling tips, if I recall correctly.
Funny enough, when I was talking about my OF, it was also about hairstyling. Just
Oh, your toupee?
yeah, sure. we'll
Did
go
you
with that.
shave a lightning bolt into your chest hair?
Yeah, let's go with chest hair.
Hey, no kink shaming here.
If you didn't know this, we talk geeky news when we're not making terrible jokes like that. Well, my jokes are terrible. The rest of that was all real. But if you
Really
aren't
bad.
in our Discord, you should definitely come to our Discord, because we have lots of fun talking about things that are geeky, but also sometimes we talk about rodents being used to fish wire through houses. And so you should come over to our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord, and you can tell all about your experience doing just that.
I mean, I just use replicators from Stargate.
Replicators. You must say it like Thor of the Asgard.
Replicators.
You know, before we talk about news, I need to catch you all up. I know one of you know about this already, but I took Chris Farrell's advice and finally caught up with For All Mankind. Chris has recommended that many times on this show.
How is that my advice?
And so I decided to go ahead and do that. And I was so shocked that SB hasn't watched it yet.
I mean, Why would I? It's alternative history and space. I mean, there's no reason whatsoever why I would want to watch that.
Isn't it Ron Moore also?
Yes, it is actually. And yes, there is Ron Moore-isms all over the place.
And just if you didn't catch that, SP is the one that actually has many times. And I have sailed past him. I'm caught up to date so I can watch this season as it comes out.
Did you hear, Stephen, that I might have been today, but just in the last couple of days, that they confirmed a 6th and final season?
Okay, good, because it's definitely getting long in the tooth. So that's good. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
I don't know. You go back.
Keep going. You keep going.
You go back to Star Trek, right? Star Trek, the Next Generation, Voyager, DS9. They were all 7 seasons. They ended after 7, but they did make it 7.
Yeah, I don't know the way that this show works season to season. It's weird to me. I liked the first season. Second season was okay. Some of the ones after that have been
let me ask you this,
long in the tooth,
because I don't know, I haven't seen the last season so far. How old is the main character in the last season that you watched?
Old. He's got the prosthetics on, and then he's apparently even older this coming season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah So
I'm just surprised that he's there, and Chris could care less.
I just need to watch it. I'm so behind on pretty much anything I watch.
Right.
Fair enough. Also, apparently, I have a thick, luscious mane. I wish.
No, he's saying it's a toupee. Your thick, luscious mane is a toupee.
Yes, it is a toupee.
Yeah.
It's a toupee. It moves. See?
Yeah.
Toupee.
It's made out of grizzly bear fur.
That's impressed that he got himself plucked hair by hair from the grizzly.
It's
true.
true.
He hit it with his car first. So
Yeah.
And it stood up and said, "You want to do what?"
So he hit him again.
Some people call it successful hunting. I call it a DUI. Let's go on to the news. All right, let's start off talking about Sora, or Sayonara Sora, or So Long Sora, or Sora, You Will Not Be Missed. Any of these things. If you didn't know this, Sora is OpenAI's video platform, at least in its current iteration, and it was social media app related. Well, guess what? It is been announced that it is coming to a close because OpenAI made a post the other day saying, quote, "We're saying goodbye to Sora. To everyone who created with Sora, shared it, and built community around it, thank you." They went on to say, "What you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. We'll share more soon, including timelines for the app and API and details on preserving your work," end quote. Now, if you're saying to yourself, "Steven," well, first off, that would be me talking to myself. But if you are saying to yourself, "I wish that I wasn't Steven," and hey, didn't Sora just launch in the fall? Yeah, you're right. It did. It wasn't that long ago. But
which orbit did it launch into?
I think it was the 3rd orbit around Mars.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, I saw something really comical to do with this, because we could talk all in a minute about all AI slop and all that stuff. But I saw a post on Reuters that said that basically Walt Disney got blindsided by this, because if you didn't know this, the Walt Disney Company and OpenAI had worked together to create project linked to Sora, and they had a meeting. And then basically 30 minutes after that meeting was when it was announced that Sora is being dropped. So they had a meeting about their collaboration, and then OpenAI was like, "Bye." So I thought that was really funny, because apparently this was like a $1 billion agreement that they had come up with before. Now, it never actually went through, so it's just being abandoned. But Walt Disney Company, if you didn't know that, had said they were going to invest in OpenAI and lend over 200 iconic characters to be used with these short AI gen videos. Now, I think maybe there's something to that. Perhaps this is why Sora is going away. Perhaps there's a little bit of regret in that. But I wanted to ask you guys, is this the end of Gen AI with OpenAI for now? Or do we think that there is going to be a rug pull beneath said rug pull, and we're going to just see a new version of OpenAI's Gen AI come out soon just because they needed to move on from Sora for legal reasons?
Okay, so Sora and all these video generating things get real popular when they first come out because people are like, let me try and have Steven Johndrew popping out of a toaster with a weird background or stuff like that. But let's be honest, after that initial surge for like a month of everyone screwing around and making weird stuff, it just became a disinformation machine. And there wasn't really much creative coming out of it. It was, I'm going to try and make my own fake stuff that people will believe on the internet. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was never a believer. I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, good. Close this down because it didn't really do anything besides just be like, okay, cool. I can make weird 12-second videos. Great.
How about you, SP?
12-second videos. Wow. I remember investing in at least my time in a similar capability a while back. Just short 12-second like audio that became clamor. That's what a clamor.
Oh.
Right. Clamor. Yeah. Guys.
Who would you say her name? You said Clamor?
Clamor. Yeah, that's right.
It's one I hadn't thought of in a while. I'll be honest. You took me back down memory lane.
You're welcome. So I think that if you spend any time on social media lately, it has changed. And one of the things that it has changed, except for a few places on the internet, and it's not even the full place on the internet, it's like sub rooms in the internet, is that every post comes with it a video, not even a picture anymore. It's a video. And people are using all sorts of things to create it. Usually there's a lot of AI out there. And I am getting sick and tired of it. So that's just me personally. I pine for the days of the old Twitter where you just had what was it, 144 characters or whatever. And you had rapid discourse that way in an open environment. That's never going to be the same because we didn't have the bots back then that we do now. And I don't know how many of these companies that do this sort of thing are going to survive because it's going to get easier and easier and easier to do this stuff. You're going to have apps that are going to be capable of doing this on your phone pretty soon. And it will be subjected to the rights available, and that's how they'll make money, is that in order to use this character or this likeness or whatever, you're going to have to pay, micropayments basically to do that. I don't know eventually how much that's going to be profitable for the people that license their image, but that's kind of where I see this going in the relatively near term. Beyond that, who knows? But I think Sora's days were numbered, basically based on the licensing and potential legal action.
Yeah, I think that this is my theory on it, is that they got information they needed in order to enhance products, and then they realized that the current implementation of their Gen AI was not a profitable one because Gen AI video is very costly. And so they need to come out with something that is different from a name recognition perspective, because if they all of a sudden went and started charging significantly more or something like that for the Sora product compared to what they launched it as, with all of this hype and with Disney involved in everything, I think that it was probably not going to be profitable for them. So I do think that we're going to see something else from OpenAI soon. I don't think Gen AI video is going away anytime soon, whether it's cost prohibitive or not. I think that there is a bigger picture to all of this. And so I think that we will see a new OpenAI product come out. I have dabbled a little bit with Sora, both just personally, but also for work. And it's crap. It's like, I thought it was supposed to be one of the better ones, but it is very finicky.
They fed us a line was part of it too. A lot of it was just hype and, oh, look at all this stuff we can do. And the demos were all highly polished, highly tweaked kind of things. Again, it goes back into what happened is it was really popular for a short time while people screwed around with it, made their stupid, funny videos to post online, and then realized, oh, this isn't either that great or I'm just not having that much fun with it anymore. And it kind of fell off to the wayside. It wasn't trendy and popular very long, and that's why it's going away.
I don't know if Canada's like this, Stephen, and I'm honestly asking, but down here, it's all about data centers. Like data centers are going in left, right, and backwards. The problem with data centers is noise, waste, and power. And that's the big thing, power. And I see this computing power to be wonderful, but I don't know how it's going to be affordable to the end user like you or me. I see it applicable to businesses maybe, but not to people like us three. And so these sorts of niche things, they will be a flash in the pan for a little bit unless they find some sort of funding mechanism.
Anything that's usable at our level is effectively a tech demo to sell the services to someone that can afford to put crap loads of money into it. We are not the end users. We are the training data on all of this.
I think that we saw a little bit of this with the entire AI market when all of a sudden, what's their names? The Chinese one, DeepSeek. DeepSeek came out at one point and they just like stock market went crazy bad for anything North American based that was in AI at the time because DeepSeek came out and just did it cheaper and they did it in a more economical model. And I think that, you know, we saw some jumping forward based off of that. And so I do think that this is a situation where right now, like Chris said, they're training we're being the training, we're training the model, but eventually there will be a more cost affordable way to do some of this Gen AI video, just like we've seen with all other AI stuff in recent years, where it just keeps getting more and more affordable and less resource intensive until the next feature comes out and then it's brand new and the cycle starts again.
Look, we know they scrape Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and all of that to train all of the AI text models and stuff like that, and continue to do so. And that's part of why Reddit shifted to their model where you can't use a third-party app anymore because it's cost prohibitive because the API got abused for AI models to get all the data. You can't tell me that Google is not going to take everything on YouTube and be like, look what we can do with video. We've got all this stuff that we can start with. Any of this stuff that we're putting out there for free or to make money potentially off of content wise, they can just turn around and use it themselves too. Why do you think?
Let's try this out. Just humor me for a second. Hey, Google AI, make Steven's toupee better.
It's already good.
Didn't work. We tried. But no, I'm interested to see what comes from OpenAI next because I really
Another boondoggle.
do think there'll be something else. Yeah. Well, moving on to the next news point here. I heard that Chris Farrell is excited about bugs.
Yes, specifically of the Firefly variety, because I like how they light up and flutter around and make me happy inside. I also like the television show Firefly. You know,
that's what that was.
One hit wonder that was.
He was talking about Bugs, or It's a Bug's Life, or it's one of those films.
No, we are talking about the cult hit television show that was out from 2002 to 2003 and incredibly mismanaged by the Fox Broadcasting Company that did somehow get a spin-off movie in 2005 called Firefly. if you follow Nathan Fillion or Alan Tudyk, you saw they'd kind of been teasing, hey, something's going to be coming up at our appearance at AwesomeCon. And they'd been doing lots of little short form videos on their podcast account of Once We Were Spacemen, where they were reuniting with all the cast members and kind of giving the hint something's going to happen. Well, this past week at AwesomeCon, Nathan Fillion and the entire cast had a panel, well, excuse me, most of the cast, not all of it, where they were able to announce that an animated Firefly series is now in advanced development. At this panel in Washington, D.C., Fillion, alongside co-stars Alan Tudyk, Gina Torres, Jules State, Marina Baccarin, Sean Marr, and Summer Glau were all in appearance to hype the fact that there is a return to Firefly happening. They are all expected to reprise their roles. They did also mention that Adam Baldwin, who was not there, will return as Jane Cobb to lend his voice to the project. This animated Firefly series will be developed through Nathan Fillion's production banner, Collision 33, the same that also does his podcast, in partnership with 20th Television Anniversary, which controls the underlying rights to the franchise. Fillion, in their announcement video, had mentioned that Disney's excited and interested. Fox is on board. He'd gotten Joss Whedon's verbal permission to continue the story. He is not attached to the story. So who is attached right now to the production side of the house and the writing side? Well, that would be Mark Guggenheim and his partner, Tara Butters, who we all are pretty familiar with from things like, Legends Tomorrow, Arrow, Agent Carter, Reaper. They're going to be attached as the showrunners. A script has been completed. Funny enough, they relayed in the initial announcement video, the two met via their shared connection for Firefly. So I thought that was kind of cool. Fillion did confirm that Whedon is not involved, but gave his the series' blessing. We did find out a little bit more about it, like when it's going to be set and things like that. If the series is picked up, it will be set in a timeline between the original 2002 television run and the 2005 feature film continuation. We kind of expect that because if you did it post 2005, then why are you bringing Alan Tudyk back? Because he's really got no role at that point in time. It is expected that they will continue to expand the universe in preserving continuity and established lore. They did show off some early concept art that was developed alongside Oscar and Emmy Award-winning animation studio Shadow Machine, and have said they intend to take the fully assembled package out to buyers shortly. Now, we know that almost all of the original cast is coming back. What do I mean by almost? Well, in a new interview, Nathan Fillion did confirm that Shepard Book will be in the animated series. However, they will be replacing the actor because Ron Glass passed away in 2016, who played Shepard Book. In the interview, Fillion said, "We're bringing back Shepard Book for certain. Ron Glass, unfortunately, is not available. Ron once joked he didn't get a part when they were looking for a Ron Glass type, and here we are again, looking for a Ron Glass type, and it's not going to be Ron Glass." So something we never really expected to happen after the movie kind of came out, didn't make the money they expected it to continue things. Firefly kind of seemed like a product that was niche, very popular with the geek fan set, and then never progressed again. And here we are, the potential for it to return as an animated series. The key here is nothing has been signed. Nobody has greenlit for anything. We're just in the advanced production of things. So my question for you guys, it's 2026. Have we missed the boat on a Firefly reboot? Do you think it's too late?
I will tell you that I've only watched 3 episodes, and I believe it's only 3 episodes, might be less than that. I just Googled because I remember talking about it on the show. So I Googled our documents, and
it's apparently like a quarter of the run.
maybe it was less than 3. I don't know, but I don't remember anything about it. But I was told that I should. I've been told many times that I'm missing out by not continuing through.
I would argue that as well, and I will purposely state that I started a rewatch right after this happened, not with my DVD or Blu-ray copies, but purposely using Hulu so that it would be added to their metrics that there was a surge in interest in people watching Firefly.
Well, then I guess you should single-handedly fund it.
Yeah, I ain't got that money. If Nathan Fillion doesn't have that money, how would I have that money?
Guys, I don't think that the series is out of gas at all. I don't think it's trash or anything. I think the message is pretty clear for Firefly that it's safe. Let's have a party. Let's have a shindig. Let's go with the cast who has a heart of gold, and let's all have a wonderful time traveling to Janestown and maybe have a little
Ariel.
special train job and remember fondly the movie Serenity.
I don't get any of those references, but I'll laugh. Will
So
that
I think
help?
he named almost every episode of the TV show. And
Okay.
I think you missed Ariel. That's one of the
Bushwhacked.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bushwhacked.
Ariel and Bushwhacked.
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure out a way to put it in there. Do I think the series, and I'm not making a pun here, do I think the series or the IP is out of gas? No. I think it was so special that I think they can continue on. And I think, especially in this day and age where you've had that transition from live action to animation, whether it be Lower Decks, not that Lower Decks transitioned to animation, but the series of Star Trek transitioned to animation with it. I think, and all the other animated series that have been just fun in pop culture, like Archer, we could go on and name a bunch. I'm just not going to do that. But I think there is a chance for it as long as it maintains the heart. And again, I'm not making a pun, but the heart of the series, because that's why everybody liked it, is because it had a lot of heart. It was very unique. The adventures where it wasn't like a battleship in space. It was a dilapidated cargo ship in
Serenity
space.
has no weapons.
And I think the characters on board were very special and how they intermixed to each other. And I think if you're not actually seeing their physical bodies, because they're all older, then you could put your head back into right after the series ended. So I think it's possible.
I do
But
too.
I don't know if it's going to catch on to a new audience. And in this day and age, you're going to need a new audience.
It depends on where it is. And I do know a lot of people had expressed their upset, like, oh, it should have been live action. I was like, do you not realize how busy this cast is? For the most part, the people in this cast have either moved on to much bigger projects and are very busy, or they're semi-retired at this point in time. Because I know Summer Glau kind of stepped away for a while to raise her kids. And now that they've gotten a bit older, she's got time. But voice acting is probably the only way we would ever get this back. Not just because these guys have gotten older. We could set aside our suspension of disbelief for a little bit to be like, okay, I can sort of believe they're 20 years younger. But animation means it can happen.
You could do a what if, like a time jump episode, and do a what if and just call it like before Serenity, the movie. And you could have them all in, including Alan Tudyk. As far as Shepherd Book, I am Shepherd Book. I'm going to break my NDA with you guys. I am Shepherd Book.
You sound a lot like Ron Glass to me,
I know,
that's
right?
for sure.
His voice is going to be very difficult to find somebody that everybody's comfortable with, but I'm sure they will be able to do it. We've seen recasting over the years for a variety of different reasons, and I see no reason why they can't try to recast him. Will there be comparisons? Of course. But you're talking about a generation, in my opinion. Again, you need to find a new audience that was okay with Dumbledore changing. And if you change Dumbledore, then Ron Glass is okay to change as well in Shepherd Book.
I do think there is merit to the idea of switching from live action to animated being a problem, because some people do primarily watch live action stuff. And I get that this is exciting for people who were really into Firefly and are sad that it was so mishandled. But there is going to be a percentage of that audience that goes, I just don't really watch animated stuff, and I'm not going to do this.
I want to respond to Swamp Rat in the chat, who said Red Dwarf was a bit awkward with how much the cast aged, especially Crichton, who wasn't supposed to age. I will refer you, in case you watched it, and I don't know if you did, I will refer you to Picard season 3, where you had Data, not an iteration of Data. You had Data, and Data wasn't supposed to age. So if that was okay for you,
Hell,
then
Picard season 1.
well, okay, fair.
Yeah.
If that was okay for you, then I think this will be okay for you, especially because it's animated.
I'd counter that people weren't okay with it, and that Data season 3 Data is actually an iteration of Data, because it's actually not the Data machine from the series. It's Data's mind in another vessel. So I would counter that it's not exactly the same, so to speak.
Then there's going to be haters of it. Then okay. I mean, there was haters still to this day of Battlestar Galactica and the Starbuck with the gender swap. Okay, there's nothing I can do to change your mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, but at the end of it, it just depends. Like any of these things, you have to just go, okay, how much does that bother you? How much are you willing to just go along with the ride? It's like any time that there's a kid in a long running show and the actor has to change because they're like, no, we don't want to age up the kid, so we need a younger actor. Like, you got to go along with it if you want to enjoy the story. But there will be people though who don't go along with it. Yep. Or Last Man Standing. How many different character switches did we get on that?
That's true. Side note before we transition off, just since you mentioned BSG, something you guys should check out if you have the chance. Katie Sackhoff has never watched Battlestar Galactica despite starring in it. She's currently doing a series.
Other things before in podcasts, but okay, I'll go with it.
She's seen bits and pieces, but never sat down and watched the series. She's doing a video series right now with her husband where they go do a first watch of Battlestar. And it's really kind of fascinating, some of the stories she tells behind how a scene came together or what she was doing in that one. Really interesting stuff. She's only through like the first 5 or 6 episodes of season 1 so far, but it's on her YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Okay. So it came out in 2003, right? Ended in 2009, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's 2026. So we are 17 years away from when it ended and 23 years away from when it started, right? Mm-hmm. The first Battlestar Galactica was 1978. So you're talking 25 years. So we're about at that time where we were right before the reboot happened.
Well, they only tried to reboot it like 10 years ago and failed. So I guess we're due now.
I think so. And I'm okay with it. It's a good story.
You know what else is a good story? A NASA ignition event.
Yes. We're going to ignite. It was a little cheesy, but I'll give that to them.
I'll allow it.
Yes. 2 days ago, it was spectacular what they pulled off. Not that the presentations were spectacular. They were really good, but just the fact that they gave them in what, I don't know about you, Stephen, but Chris and I kind of see these presentations off and on throughout our daily business and our jobs. I don't know if either of you two watched any of the videos that NASA live stream of the event. I would highly recommend that you do. It could be a little bit boring for you, but it's going to be a blow by blow of what NASA's pivot into what it's going to do in the future, including the moon base, the low Earth orbit, what they're going to do for science, what they're pivoting on in terms of commercialization of space, where at the time, because of the low cost to launch that I've been talking about for a very long time in this podcast, that commercialization of space is going to be here. And while NASA is not going to be part of running an airline into space, they're going to be part of pushing those bounds of what you actually can do. And this next step is to go to the moon. We've been on this path for a while. That's why we have SLS. That's why we had Artemis 1, and that's why we have Artemis 2 on the pad right now. I'm watching it live on my screen. It was a spectacular event. They talked about Artemis 2 because it's happening in a week. We'll talk about it in a layer. It's happening in a week. And they were talking about the moon base and how they're pivoting away from Gateway, at least for now. It's not gone, but it's in jeopardy. Let's put it that way. They're diverting funds and they want to go beyond the moon. The moon is just a stepping stone. And I'm glad they're finally making it, because while we've been in low Earth orbit for decades, we haven't attempted to live on the surface of anywhere else. And they said that we are going to support low Earth orbit as well. Station, as they call it, the International Space Station, is not. It's still going to be deorbited. It's scheduled to be deorbited in 2030. I believe it'll happen about that time because it's the risk assessment. They do an annual risk assessment of the platform, by the way. And the latest one that came out was scathing. It was like, yeah, we are due for a major mishap with the International Space Station just due to the age of everything and the fact that it has not received the funding that you would want to do like major revisions of it while it's in space. And it's always meant to transition long time ago to other commercial space stations. So I'm okay with it going away. It is a lot of money that is spent to keep it flying. And you could use that money for other things like to go to the moon or go to Mars. And we're at that point. Let's go to the moon and go to Mars. So it's a spectacular event. It's, let's see, 2 hours, and then an hour press conference. So it's 5 hours of videos. And I know in this era of 30-second TikTok attentions, it's a bit long, but it is spectacular. If you want to learn about what we're about to do, this is great. And I think we're at a point where we've seen promises before that haven't come true. We're at a point where it's going to come true. So it sounds like neither of you two watched any of it, right?
You are correct. I did not.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to need that in a 30-second clip.
Yeah, that's what
15 preferably.
So I'm going to take a swerve here, and I'm going to go in a direction that they have swerved as well. And they said that in order to power all this, we're going to put nuclear reactors on the surface of the moon, and we're going to power spacecraft with nuclear reactors. So that's a change in things.
So they're just lifting right from For All Mankind. Is this just like direct lifting? Is that what's happening with this?
I was going to ask you that, Stephen. I'm glad you kind of went there right away. So is this a case of life imitating art? Or is this a case where it existed before, and it did way back in the 60s and 70s, of it just coming around again, as we were talking about the BSG reboots? Yeah, I tied that up nicely, didn't I?
You know what? We'll wait and see. If all of a sudden the Soviet Union makes a reappearance, we'll know that it is life imitating art. Other than that, might just be, that the show was built off of realistic or things that had actually been discussed in past sciencing.
Sciencey. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it was discussed back then. The fact that the big rocket that lifted off from the ocean, that was the very beginning of season 2, right?
I haven't seen that yet.
Haven't seen season 2?
I'm kidding.
Well, the rocket that lifted off from the seabed, because it was big enough that it had just one huge engine, and you would have to do something like that in order for it to not shake itself apart just due to the acoustics alone, much less the actual force that was coming out of it. So they took that and they actually realized it in graphics and created a moon base for it and stuff like that. So I think it's both ways there for all mankind. But this is exciting. We're due to go back to the moon in 2028. It's not that far away.
Back.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Okay. Whatever. We're due to go to the moon in 2028. And I don't know who's going to be on that first crew. It'd be kind of exciting if there was a Canadian on the crew.
I'll go. That's fine. I'm good.
Yeah,
For all mankind, he's going.
Do I sign up? Is it just like a sign up sheet?
I don't know how the Canadian Astronaut Corps selects its astronauts, so it could be that simple. Like, hey, let's go down to the town hall, and you want to go to the moon? Just sign up. We'll give you a free Molson.
It's made out of cheese, eh?
Sounds about right, actually.
I could see it. Like, hey, nobody else wants to go to you. Sure.
No, I am interested to see what comes of everything. I do. I have a little reservations about the speed at which things are going to keep progressing. I know that there was a large plan that's been in the works for a bit, and we've seen a lot of movement forward in the private sector. But I do think that right now, there's a real good chance that some of these things get slowed down. So that's my fear.
Can I say one last thing about this whole thing? So at
Yes.
the press conference again, and this might just be that, and I haven't been paying close attention lately, but it might be the atmosphere around NASA and the press corps. But there is an astounding lack of deference and recognition to the rank of the people that are in the government: director, administrator, associate administrator, whatever. Like, you have some very powerful people that are up there in a press conference, and you have an astoundingly young press corps that are asking questions. And I'm not talking about like mainstream people, because you don't have that coming from like NBC or ABC or whatever. You had somebody from AP News that I don't know what her name is, but she has underwhelmed me with her questions. And you have from time to time somebody from CBS News and NBC News, but largely it's online, like spaceflight.com or Spaceflight Now or space.com, or, you know, any given one of those online avenues. Ars Technica with Eric Berger, for instance. And some of them are asking decent questions, but some of them are like, man, you could be a better journalist here. Aside from that, what it bugs me is that they're not being deferential to the rank of the people that they're talking to. They're like, hey, Jarrett, hey, Ahmet, you know, they're calling it by their first names and stuff. I'm like,
yeah, I think those days are gone now.
To be deferential to the rank of the position. Yeah. And I
In
think
today's world, yeah.
I think that if they want to get better access over time, the people that are respected are going to get more question time. That's just my opinion.
I suspect that there's not a lot of people who are in those positions with any large amount of dedicated time spent towards the space sector. It was basically non-existent for how long? And so you got people now. I'm guessing this isn't their preferred field in journalism. They probably have other preferences. And so I suspect that that's probably the case, that when they set out to be a journalist, they probably weren't planning on being the NASA correspondent. And some of them aren't just, you know, shouldn't use the word journalist, is my guess as well. But I just think that, you know, a lot of the people didn't grow up in the time where they saw all the hubbub to do with the space sector, because it just wasn't a thing for so long, for decades.
I'll agree. I don't think we've seen this sort of excitement really since the beginning of the shuttle program, and that was the early 80s, and we're like 45 years from that now.
You know, the other thing that comes to my mind as well is that all of the excitement that really came in recent years, or the majority of it, came out of SpaceX, a private sector where you didn't have these different positions. And so I wonder if maybe that's something to do with it as well, is that their first level of exposure was with a private company where it's like, oh, you know, Elon's there, I call him Elon.
I mean, I have never met anybody that would call him Mr. Musk.
Never mind. All right, moving on to I was going to make Musk joke.
I know, right? And I thought of that before I said it. But you know, you're absolutely right, because everybody just calls him Elon. Nobody calls him Mr. Musk.
Yeah. Well, maybe with time they'll start to show that. But
because Administrator Isaacman, as I will call him, has a phenomenal presence. And I don't think NASA has seen his sort of leadership since the Apollo program.
All right, well, moving on to the next news point here. Let's talk about Samsung. I don't know if you knew about this, but Samsung Samsung has its own browser. If you've used a Samsung device before, you might be familiar with this. Is for a long time you would head on over to your brand new Samsung phone and you would see a button that said Intranet. That's right. It said Intranet for a while because that's just what it was known as on there. But then they changed it to be called the Samsung browser. Well, I am a current S25 Ultra user and a former S23 Ultra user. And I have tried in recent years to use the Samsung apps where possible. But one area that I have not is the browser. Chris is, for the audio listener, Chris is making the ugh face, but Google doesn't deserve all the praise either because
Samsung browser just sucks.
So we'll just hold on, just hold on. I haven't tried it because the thing is, the browser is not one that I have tried, as my personal preference for a browser is that I want to make sure that my browser abilities can sync across platforms. And so years ago on this show, I talked about the Arc browser. Well, I never really got into the Arc browser other than trying it because there was no Android version. And even currently, there is a half-arsed version as well.
Nice word choice.
I want to have my browser sync over. Well, Samsung has its browser on the phone, and for a long time that was only it. Well, guess what? I had seen a bit ago that there was a beta out for Windows, and now it's officially out of beta because Samsung feels that their browser, which do you think it has a lot of AI stuff built into it? Is needed to be across more than just their phone platform. So now you can get the Samsung browser on Windows. I will say, in reviewing some of the features, it actually looked like it could be pretty handy. One of the things that I saw in there that I thought was really neat is if you opened up a bunch of tabs, you could basically go in and query the information. So that way you weren't having to go back and forth between the tabs. You could just conversationally ask for the summary of the information. So that way you're not having to do that whole cross-tab review thing that I infamously do. It's probably one of the reasons why I always like to have more RAM. But there's no Mac version, so I'm not going to try it in either. It's just not going to happen unless there was a Mac version for me to get in and try. And then, yes, I would give it a solid go and see what it was all about. But Samsung seems to think that there needed to be a Windows version, and now it's out of beta. I will not poo-poo your ugh, because I suspect you've tried it, and I have not tried it. So
It's been
I will defer to
years,
you.
but I mean, it's been many years, but I've kind of despised it when I had Samsung phones because it seemed not as good. It never ran as fast. It was clunky. The Chrome browser was just better. And similarly, it was a pain in the butt because if I wanted to do something on my computer, it's not like I could just open up my history and pull what I'd done on my phone or send a tab to my computer or anything like that. It was a completely different environment. You could sort of get it by having your Google account logged in and get history that way. But it just, I don't know, it felt second rate to me. Maybe they've made it better. I guess a Windows app is a way to try and get more people to use it. But I can tell you, while I myself am considering different browsers and stuff all the time, I don't think the Samsung Windows app, or if I was using Windows stuff that often, would be near the top of my list. I'd be looking at things like Opera or Vivaldi or going back to Firefox. Hell, maybe even Safari.
Sort it alphabetically and it'll be at the top of your list.
So I wanted to ask you, and you did touch on this a little bit. Do you guys use any of the browser sync features between your desktop/laptop browser and your mobile, whether it's phone or tablet? And also, would you consider ever splitting that experience if one browser was only available on one of those places, but it really offered some really good features?
So I'll start just because I sort of touched on it. I don't know that I necessarily use sync, but I use the ability within the Chrome browser to basically be like, hey, send this tab to my phone or send this tab to my tablet. and stuff like that all the time. And I do also go into the history and be like, I know I saw something on my phone and I can't remember what it was. And I'll pull out my tablet and go into my shared history across my account to go and find some stuff. And I will admit that back in the day, before we had this syncing capability built into the browsers, I did have a browser extension that I think I learned about either on Tech TV or in the early days of Twit that allowed me to sync browser sessions and tabs across PCs back in the day. And I did use that for a long time when I was in school to basically ensure that I always had the same set of tabs opened across. But I don't know. I'm at the point now where like I'm kind of just used to Chrome and I haven't found a compelling reason to move away, and all of my data is there. I don't have to move passwords. I don't need to move payment options. It just works on everything I have. I don't have a compelling reason to move. Maybe I would dabble with something else if there's some interesting feature sets. I've kind of looked out there and seen, oh, this browser's kind of interesting. Maybe I should mess with it. And then I realized, oh, wait, 90% of my computing that I don't do for work is on my tablet or my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I use Firefox. That's where I've landed right now for the majority of things. With that said, there are some quirks that continue to happen. I actually do use all three in some ability. Not all three. The three main ones that we talk about: Firefox, Chrome, and Edge. In the chat, we do have Vivaldi being talked about. I have been interested a little bit about that, but I'm trying to Google what the current run of browser uses are, or the top browser uses are, because I know Vivaldi's been around for a little while and I've heard some more mixed things in recent, but I still think I want to give it a try.
I think you're going to go for the ultimate blasphemy and be running an Android phone, a Mac computer, and Edge browser.
I did that for a while. I did actually. And the mobile app irritated me.
So I don't mind Edge on a PC. Edge on a mobile app, I didn't care for very much, is what it came down to when I played with it. Because I use Edge at work all the time. I forget to use Chrome there because everything loads in Edge default.
And how about USP? I assume that you mostly just print out the HTML code and then just review it that way.
I've been using Netscape since 1995.
Awesome.
Now, I am looking at the Arc in the browser store right now, or the Microsoft store, and it's got 4.2 stars. And it says a fast, private, and secure browser that doesn't meet your needs, that doesn't just meet your needs, it anticipates them. And it's right next to Brave, which...
Well, just to be clear, I mentioned Arc while I was talking about that. That was a different browser. This is not the Samsung one. You should look for the Samsung browser.
It is not here. I did Samsung browser, and it gives Mozilla Firefox and Galaxy Buds, Browser Plus Pro, X Browser, Brave Browser, CCleaner, O Browser. So yeah, it's not in the store that I have available to me right now. And I did just update before we went live. Well, and I thought it was delaying us. But anyway,
if you go to browser.samsung.com, there's a button there that says get the app on Windows PC, and it must be an actual app, because when I click it on my Mac, nothing happens right now. So they must have it, but they probably just have done something very Samsung-y and not properly rolled it out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or called it something like Buds or something. I still remember when I went to Podcast Movement in, 2021 in Nashville, and I went to their party that they had at, I don't remember the club. It was really stupid. You know, Nashville has all the country singers and everything, and it was just like bebopping, modern music. And I was like, this is okay, whatever. How to blasphemy this club. But I did sit next to the podcast guy from Samsung, and I actually had his card all this time. And then I believe sometime like 9 to 12 months ago, Samsung canceled all their podcasts and fired everybody in the division and everything. So the guy is not there anymore. That's for sure. But
wait,
I do
how
remember
long ago did you say?
It's 2021.
But you said they closed it when?
I don't know. I want to say a year ago, but I'm old, so that could have been 3 years ago for all I know.
Apparently, they announced it in November 2024.
All right, so yeah, it's pretty close to a year ago.
I'll give you it. I'll give you it this time.
Close enough.
Okay. Yeah, so Samsung, they're hanging on to different things, and I think if they really want to make a splash, they would market their Note 7 to militia.
All right. Well, if you want to tell us about your browser, come to Discord, our Discord at GonnaGeek.com/Discord. You could maybe swing on into our Discord, if you will.
I see what you did there. Yes, that's my cue to go right now. And I don't know if you guys know, if you're on the Discord, you probably do, but Sony released the trailer for the latest Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Brand New Day, back on March 17th. And you're probably thinking, so what, Chris? What's the big deal? Well, in 4 days, that trailer hit 1 billion views. This is the first film trailer ever to surpass the 1 billion view mark, and it's currently sitting at 1.1 billion views as of the time of this recording. So lots of interest, lots of buzz. Just diving deeper into the metrics a little bit, within 24 hours of release, the trailer raked in 718.6 million views, making it the biggest trailer launch ever for any movie or video game. That includes GTA 6. After 8 hours of its release, and I think it was released at like 7 a.m. Eastern time, it had 373 million views worldwide, already enough to make movie history, beating out Deadpool and Wolverine, which had 365 million views after 24 hours. I think we see now why Sony has no interest in giving or selling back the rights of Spider-Man to Disney/Marvel. But yeah, ridiculous numbers for this trailer. I think it goes to show there's a lot of excitement. We left the previous trilogy on kind of an interesting cliffhanger note to see how things were going to continue. And I will say that I'm pretty interested in seeing where it goes and have watched this trailer multiple times and was quite excited by it. So my question for you guys, both Steven and SP and our chat room, hey, did you guys watch the trailer? And if you did, was it more than once?
I'm going to need that in a 30-second clip. Sorry.
Did you watch the trailer and was it more than once?
No, I have not watched
seconds.
it. I have not
You
watched
have not
it.
not
No,
watched
I
it.
wanted
So
the
you-
trailer in 30 seconds, just to be clear.
I thought
that
you
done
meant
in
my
30 seconds.
commentary, so
No.
I was confused.
Just watch it on a browser that you can speed it up.
Just go like 5x.
I have to admit, I am excited for this because I've been very happy about Spider-Man as it has been in current form. I don't remember much about the last Spider-Man.
I mean, the key there and the trailer kind of highlights it is that everyone forgot who Peter is, including his friends. Because of
Right.
Doctor Strange's spell.
That's right. He did the little time travel thing.
So that
was
the multiverse didn't collapse.
Yeah, that's right. Huh. I might have to go refresh myself. I don't remember. But that's like most of this current state of anything Marvel related right now.
To be honest, this seems to be kind of set up as a good jumping on point for people who may or may not have watched much of the stuff before. But again, it's a trailer, so who really knows? But it seems like it's kind of the beginning of new stuff, with the references being, hey, these are my friends. They don't know who I am. And they kind of explained it away in the trailer.
Okay. So I will watch it at some point, and I will report back. But I will, in the meantime, defer to SP, who I heard is the biggest Spider-Man fan on this podcast.
So I don't know if I mentioned it to you guys before. I might not have. I did a podcast on Marvel called Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. from 2014 to 2025. So 11 years.
What was it called?
Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Legends of Batman.
I've heard of an urban legend about that, but I thought that's all it was.
So I podcasted on Marvel and Spider-Man before.
You should have mentioned this sooner.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. just kept forgetting for years to tell you guys. I have not watched this trailer at all. I also have a question for you, Chris. Is that, yes, all these views are amazing, but how many do you think are bots?
I don't think Sony really has a need to go and buy bots for Spider-Man.
I don't even think it's bots that are being bought. I'm wondering how we're into this new internet era of scraping. I'm just wondering how many of those bots out there are trying to scrape the data from it and trying to get the scenes and how it's going to go so they can ingest it into their models. I'm not saying that it hasn't been watched a lot.
I don't know what
I'm
the
wondering
value
what
is
percentage
in that, but fair
of
point.
that is bots. Yeah. So just throwing it out there. As far as the Spider-Man movie, Chris, I know you're a huge Spider-Man fan, and it sounds like this is going to be a good deal. I'm a little burned out on Marvel. No duh. But I might go see it, or I might wait till it's streaming on Disney Plus or whatever and grab a watch. Me getting to a movie theater these days is pretty tough just because of timing and because of enjoyment and all that stuff. So I might be waiting until it comes home, unless you come back and say it's like the best thing ever. And I will know that even though you're a fan, you're not going to BS me. So I might go see it.
I have high hopes. The same director who did Shang-Chi is doing this movie, and they brought in Jackie Chan's stunt team to do a bunch of the fighting and stunt work and stuff like that. So it looks like it should be pretty cool.
There are bits and pieces of that movie, like the bus scene, for instance, that are both very entertaining. And on the other hand, it's like, that is not real whatsoever, but it is a superhero movie. So you got to go with it. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm just thinking of the fact that we're talking about realism when it's
Spider-Man.
radioactive spider that caused us.
It happens. You put a nuclear reactor on the moon, you're going to get Spider-Man.
Fair enough. Perfect. That's why I'm going to be the next Canadian astronaut.
Don't you know? Yeah, you could be Spider-Man if you go up there.
He's going to turn
these
into
conversations happening in Canadian bars. Really, you could be a Canadian astronaut, dude.
He's going to be Moose Man. He's going to get bit by a radioactive moose.
I know you're disappointed that the Canadian national team didn't win the hockey tournament, but you could go be a Canadian national team up on the moon and be Spider-Man.
I'm disappointed too, Steven. It's okay.
You do a better Canadian accent than I do.
I am from Minnesota, so it's close.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I will watch it because I am looking forward to the next iteration. Spider-Man is one of the only things that, and I might be in the same situation as SP. I might wait until it's at home, but it's one of the only things right now in the Marvel universe that I actually am like, I want to watch it at some point. So let's go on to the last news point here, which is a bit of a rundown of points, but I called it Artemis 2 on the sidebar because I was quickly typing it in at the beginning of the show here. But I know you actually wanted to talk about Artemis 2, Starship Flight 12, and New Glenn.
I gave you the title. I even bolded it and put it in red.
Oh, he wanted me. Sorry, the title was supposed to be No Earlier Than.
That's right.
Okay. Why are we calling it Earlier Than?
Because that's what all these launch dates are. No earlier than.
Oh.
I thought you just like nets.
Yeah.
Oh, are we watching that Sandra Bullock movie, The Net?
The net.
I haven't seen that in ages. I should go back and watch it.
I watched that like a year or two ago. It does not hold up.
No.
We have a trio of big launches coming up, guys, and I know you're probably not as excited as me, but I know the general public is getting more and more excited about this sort of stuff as humans start to look at traveling beyond Earth at this point in time. The first one is Artemis 2. We've been talking about it for a while. It had to go back into the VAB and get fixed, the interstage. There was no platform out on the launch pad to go fix it, so they had to bring it back. And while it was back, they did other maintenance, and then they changed out the flight termination system batteries and everything. Interestingly enough, even though it probably could go into May, NASA is not talking about a May launch date. They are really firm on the window of launch dates that they can do in April. And the first one opens up, and it's not an April Fool's joke. It opens up on April 1st at about 6:40 p.m., 6:45 p.m., something like that, Eastern time. So, Stephen, that'll be at the tail end of your workday. And that is when we are going to send 3 astronauts and a Canadian astronaut around the moon for the first time. It's actually pretty exciting. I know I've joked about killing a Canadian astronaut before, and that's probably in bad taste in retrospect, but this will be the first time that a non-American, a Canadian, gets to see the other side of the moon. I mean, seriously, it's a big feat that we're going to pull off here.
Sorry, I'm just trying to unwind or unravel the intersection of what really happened versus For All Mankind timeline. It's
Yeah,
all,
I know,
it's all
right?
in my head mixed up right now.
I know. I started watching it with my dad the last time I was up in Minnesota, and they were like, "So this is a series?" I'm like, "Yeah." This didn't happen. I'm like, no, it didn't. It's called an alternative history. They hadn't seen like Man in the High Castle or what is it, 11, 12, 22, 63 or anything like that. So I'm like, yeah, this is not what happened, but it's a what if. What if Soviet Union made it to the moon first? And then how did the United States respond? Interestingly enough, in that, Stephen, I don't think in that mindset, and I haven't made it really beyond season 2, you don't get other countries. So you don't get like the Artemis Accords that are going on right now, right? You don't get those Canadians or Australians or British or whoever on board the space program in For All Mankind. Did I get that right, or am I wrong there?
There's a little dabbling.
Okay, a little dabbling, but not anything big or anything like that.
I'll just say there's a little dabbling and leave it at that.
Okay. So I'll have to watch it and find out. But I know for a fact that all these countries that I just mentioned are trying to put launch sites in their countries. Like even Canada, you've got an operational spaceport. And we talked about it before in the podcast, and Great Britain's
when they
doing the same
renovated
thing.
that Tim Hortons, man, that was the talk of the town.
I was talking about that with somebody earlier on this week. We were driving around my town and we went right back my Tim Hortons, and I go, I actually have a Tim Hortons that's closer to me than Steven does, and he lives in Canada. So, and I know we talked about it on the podcast before, but that just came up. Anyway, so Artemis 2 is going to launch no earlier than 1 April. SpaceX is getting ready to launch Flight 12. It'll be the first launch of version 3 booster, version 3 ship on the new launch mount in, get ready, Boca Chica.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Drink. Boca Chica, Boca Chica, Boca Chica. So it's not called Boca Chica anymore. It's called Starbase USA. They legitimately changed their name, but they're going to launch. And I'm looking at that launch mount live too right now as the sun sets in Texas. And it's beautiful. They've done a full deluge test. They put the booster on it. They've tested out their ground equipment. The booster test fired for a brief moment. They pulled it back in. It only had 10 or 12 of its 33 engines, and they're going to put the rest of the engines on, and they're going to bring it out, and it's going to be spectacular. Now, that launch is going to be no earlier than April at this point in time, and as we record this, March 26th, probably towards the end of April at the earliest, maybe May. We will see. But that is coming up, and that's going to be amazing to figure out if it's going to work or not. And if it doesn't work, there is a lot of money being spent on facilities being built, both at Starbase USA and at Cape Canaveral, and several, not just one, but like 8 launch sites at Cape Canaveral. It is going to be amazing. So if this rocket has problems, then SpaceX has major problems, because they're spending more money in getting the launch infrastructure put together than they are the launcher right now. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And then Blue Origin with their new Glenn rocket, that is listed as a launch no earlier than March. They could roll that thing out and launch it in a matter of days. They've had 2 successful launches, 1 successful recovery at this point in time. So they're getting that launch cadence up and running. The important part, again, for human spaceflight with New Glenn is the fact that you can put the Orion space capsule, which is the one that's meant to go to the moon, you can put that on top of it instead of SLS. And SLS is not very reusable. You're talking about a launch cadence right now of every 3 years. That's not good. They're trying to make it faster. Administrator Isaacman is trying to make it faster with one launch this year, 2 launches the next year, and then 2 possible launches in 2028. So they are increasing the launch cadence. They're doing that by stabilizing the configuration of SLS, as well as making a more Apollo-like test program. But beyond that, I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain creating a new rocket every time that they launch. So I think you're going to see a rocket like New Glenn be used more and more. And it might not just be New Glenn. It might be Falcon Heavy in a total reusable configuration. I don't know. But those 3 things are going to happen in the next couple of weeks, maybe next month or so. It's just amazing to me. And I can't wait to see these go off. I know I've been talking about Artemis 2 for several months because it was originally supposed to be January, and it slipped now to April, but I think we're closer to the launch now than we were a few months ago. It's going to be fun. I know you guys might not be as following it as closely as I am. To be honest with you, I'm a few weeks behind in my total coverage, but I have been paying attention to where the rockets actually are. And yeah, it's going to be a fun few weeks here watching all these big boys fly.
I'm just curious how come the dates aren't being pushed up from the ones that were announced, because you told me I should call this segment earlier then.
I now see why Canada doesn't have its robust own space program. Okay. Check. Figure that out.
I am excited about all this stuff here. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it all. I do think that there is lots of things that you have kept us informed of that I can't wait to actually see come to fruition. And lastly, before we go, we got a few extra news points here that I know, SP, I think you were wanting to talk about. The first being that Chuck Norris has departed.
Yeah, he's just gone somewhere else to take care of things. I mean, somebody else needed him, and he decided to, go that other place.
My Chuck Norris experience was primarily bits on Conan O'Brien, on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. That was primarily my exposure to Chuck Norris.
The Chuck Norris lever.
The first Chuck Norris film that I remember seeing wasn't Delta Force. It was Invasion USA. That was in my mind as the original Chuck Norris experience. And I think it came available on YouTube a few months ago or something like that. And I rewatched it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a bad movie this was. But as a young adult watching it when it came out, I was like, oh, this is great. And you saw the twin Uzis and took care of those nasty Cubans and stuff like that. And I never really saw Delta Force until right after that, because YouTube then recommended, hey, want to watch Delta Force? I'm like, okay. It was the first time I watched Delta Force. I'm like, okay, I can see this as a better adventure action film than Invasion USA, but it still was not a great film.
The other thing you wanted to talk about was Starfleet Academy.
I do. I wanted to get you guys' takes. So Starfleet Academy came out, even though they filmed season 2, they did not renew it for season 3. They decided we're going to shut this down. Now, I don't know if either of you two have watched the first season. I have. I podcasted on all of it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to edit the last 3 episodes. They will be coming out, by the way. I just wanted to get your guys' take on it, and I can say a few words after that.
Go ahead, Chris. You start.
I was going to let you go.
Oh, well then I will go. I will
you
only go.
You always defer and let me go first. I wanted you to have the chance to shoot your shot.
I was going to let you go first because you started first, and then your chattery in the Discord server got me into it.
Chris, are you sure you're not Canadian? I've seen a bunch of apologies and no, you go first.
Look,
no,
man,
you go first.
I made it very clear who I was rooting for in the hockey game. in
you
weapons.
did. You did.
I lost my preferences
For now, in another 4
Yeah.
years, you'll win.
but I cannot root against Sidney Crosby. It's that simple.
All right. So I overall actually found it to be quite enjoyable. I would say that out of the recent Star Trek series that have come out, Picard included, I would put this up there. I think Strange New Worlds would get the first slot, and this would get the second slot out of the recent series.
Recent series, are
No.
you talking about New Trek?
I would actually, sorry, I was thinking live action. No, this would be
Okay.
number 3. Lower Decks would probably get number 1. And then Strange New Worlds would get 2, and then this would get 3. But I found it actually quite enjoyable, even if it was a little teen drama-y. But come on, you guys did a podcast on a CW TV show for a while, so like, you know,
True.
that's nothing new to us. But I quite enjoyed it. I thought that it was good, and I thought that this was the right sort of vessel to tell the futuristic story. Still had problems with all sorts of premise of the burn and all that, but I thought that this was a much better vessel than the Discovery series to tell that story.
So as someone who didn't watch Discovery, I did not find that a barrier to entry and starting, because they were able to explain enough of what the burn was. I think it got unfairly crapped on, in part because there are some people that have decided anything new Trek is automatically the devil because it's not what they grew up with and they can't adjust to it. And that's fine. They can have that opinion. But there are a lot of people that have made their entire personality hating everything to do with it and not actually giving it a chance. And if you give the show a chance, it's not the Star Trek you grew up with, but yeah, Star Trek's 60 years old at this point in time, guys. It evolves. The same thing happened when the TOS shifted to Next Generation. People complained because it wasn't the same thing. This is not a new thing. I wish it had found more traction. I enjoyed getting to get some pieces of established Trek and reference that going forward. It was really neat having Robert Picardo return as the Doctor and be this timeless character that had so much go on. And I'm a little disappointed that they're not going to get to finish their story, because they did film the first 2 seasons and said that season 2 ends on not like a huge cliffhanger, but has a point. Cliffhanger is not the right term, because I don't think that's quite how they described it, but they leave things open to continue things. They didn't end the story. Plus, we've only gotten 2 years of the undergrad program in. I thought some of the new characters were fascinating. Like, I love Sam. I love what they did with Sam and how things changed in that, and the difference between the Sam we knew at the beginning of the show and later, and how they were playing with that. I think the actor playing her was doing a great job of portraying those differences and bringing it up. I will fully admit, though, I am not the target audience for this Star Trek. That's fine. I could still enjoy it. It's the same with Prodigy. I wasn't necessarily the target audience for that, but I still had fun with it. I'm a little disappointed to see it go. I sort of get what's going to happen. I don't know what is next for Star Trek. We know they've got 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds left, and they've filmed them all already.
Filmed, yeah.
So there's no Star Trek in production right now.
Nope.
The question is, are they going to jump into just doing Star Trek First Years or something? I think is what they were calling it, which is the spinoff with Kirk
Year
in command.
1, I believe.
Yeah, which has been rumored. I don't know. It's probably expensive.
That has not been greenlit. Yeah. So we'll
the trend we've seen with a lot of the news Trek stuff is they have a short run relatively, because then contracts get too expensive to keep people on board.
How about USB?
I'm pretty sure Paramount Plus was wanting something, or Paramount was probably wanting lightning in a bottle. They wanted something, because this was their flagship. They admitted this was their flagship show. They wanted something that would be the Landman, or, you know, you pick the blockbuster series. They wanted something like that, and this just was not that. I don't have any problems with the characters. I don't have any problems with the actors. I think the actors actually did a wonderful job bringing it to life. I do have some story issues with the season. I think that they did a disservice to traditional Trek in that it was like they were writing, or it was like they were writing without any knowledge of past Trek. And I think that manifested itself in that they had to change a few episodes along the way. And it was noticeable to me as I was going through and podcasting on it. And I think they had to actually bring in continuity people to change some storylines in order for it to make sense. And for that reason alone, it was not my favorite. Not that I had any issues with the storyline, the characters, or how it was being portrayed. I actually liked what they did with one of the most lightning rod characters in the new Trek issues, Tilly. I liked what they did with that character. That story was one of the best stories Trek has ever told. And I'm just kind of sad that it's embedded inside this, which will, I don't know how next season is going to go, but it won't be revered as like Strange New Worlds, unfortunately. So we'll just see where this all goes as the company changes ownership, whatever that ownership is. I don't even think that's set right now. Whoever the new owners are, they will make a decision on where they want to go with this IP, because it is a tremendous amount of fandom and IP, 6 years worth. You can't just throw that away. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I'm not shocked that this was canceled based on the storyline alone. Chris, you were saying that you liked what they did with Sam. I don't hate what they did with Sam, but I don't think they needed to tell that full story in season 1. I think they could have told half the story in season 1 and half the story in season 2. I think having 2 main episodes in a 10-episode season on Sam was probably not the right thing to do for the series. And like I said, nothing to do with the character, nothing to do with the actor whatsoever. I think they pulled it off great. I just think that they should have done it in 2 seasons.
I think, that might be why I enjoyed this so much, is because I legitimately I talked about it on here. I was not going to watch it because I was sure it was going to get canceled, just with everything else going on with the Star Trek universe. I knew even if it was a phenomenal series, it was going to get canceled. And so I turned out to be right. So I think I went into it with like, we'll just see what this is about. And maybe I'm unfairly ranking it so high because of that. But I just thought that it was a breath of fresh air. But with that said, I look forward to seeing what season 2 has to offer. And I do think that a lot of these Trek series have suffered in season 2. So we'll see.
I will leave my comments for the podcast on the season finale for the other podcast that I do, Strange New Worlds Fancast.
Oh, look at that little promo.
Because I don't, I was going to say something. I was like, well, if somebody hasn't seen it, I don't want to tell them the ending of the season. So I'm just
everyone died. The whole cast.
Poochie went back to his home planet.
So I'm not going to say that, but I did have issues with the season finale that were basically based on all the things that I said about the series. So, well, we'll just see what season 2. I was actually excited for season 2 because I'm like, okay, they kind of have a clean slate even now. So I'm looking forward to seeing the final season. And who knows? Somebody else could come in, buy up Trek and say, hey, we're going to continue the story. I could actually see that. So, or it could be dead forever. Who knows?
We'll see. And we'll see how long the freezing of Star Trek happens this time around.
Mm-hmm. I hope it's not long. If for anything else, we've had standard new Trek for 10 years now. That's been a good 10-year run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Before we go, I'll remind everybody that there is a thing called Project Hail Mary. And next time, SP might have some thoughts to do with that. And you should come to our Discord as well at GonnaGeek.com/Discord, because then you can talk to him all about that. But we are pressed for time, so we are going to go. Awkward ending.
It's a podcast. We're not pressed for time. What we are doing is trying to save SP's electronics from a major electronic storm that's about to hit me in about 5 minutes.
Kaboom!
So, on that note, for episode number 426 of the Official GonnaGeek Show, I'm Steven saying, you know what? Sometimes you just got to produce the show as sloppy as you can.
I'm SP saying next time we talk, hopefully we'll be talking about a big launch.
I got nothing witty. I'm sorry. Just kaboom.
Kaboom!
Kaboom!
See you everybody next time. Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next show.